Hello, everyone. Welcome back to And Just Like Yap. We are still recapping Euphoria Season 3, Episode 2. This one is called America, My Dream. Let's just get right into it. Episode starts with Maddy has arrived in LA. We are hearing some of her backstory of how she got there. Just goes right up to this woman who, works in management. Miss Penzler, who eventually becomes her boss, while she's having lunch and is like, I read your article in the Wall Street Journal. I want you to hire me. This woman, of course, is like not into it at first, but then Maddy says all the right things that this woman wants to hear, which is that she's not a victim, she's not going to be an HR nightmare, and she believes in capitalism.
And I know my generation's entitled, but I don't believe anyone owes me anything. It's like everything, like the boomers like want to hear that they're right. Like that's like what they want to hear, that they're right about everything about our generation, so that they'll give us a little bit.
This woman, Miss Penzler, is now titillated by Maddy enough that when her phone starts buzzing, she kind of like gives Maddy a nod, and Maddy just picks it up right away and is like, Miss Penzler's office, Maddy speaking. So she takes the initiative. It's pretty corny, but like the thing about Maddy is that she just has no shame and no embarrassment, and she's all confidence. Like one of the, I think, most effective interactions of this previous season was when she's telling Lexi, confidence is just all made up. You just have to like pretend that you know what you're doing and like know that everybody else also is just pretending. She knows how to get what she wants. But then we see that just after Maddy gets this job, we are acknowledging reality. We are bringing us back to the pandemic.
Which is so nuts because it just feels like this show doesn't exist in any sort of reality. So I don't understand why we're having to acknowledge, I don't know, COVID, George Floyd. Like, I don't understand, like, what the point of that was, because everything else in this show exists like out of reality.
Yeah. But of course Maddy's mother is very concerned about her while the protests are going on, and Maddy has to confirm, yes, I have the bear spray. Rue, this is actually like, I really kind of like this part because Rue sort of like takes a few sentences to narrate and encapsulate like what happened to this like generation of young people during this time. And this sort of almost reminded me, it kind of like harkened back to like a coming of age style movie about like the 70s kind of, you know what I mean? She's like, all these young people packed their bags and headed out west, telling the story of like these like aimless youth who like didn't give a fuck about a global pandemic and just wanted to live their lives. And so we see this girl hop into a convertible with her friend, and her mom's like, don't get sick, and she's like, I won't, I'm not old. We have this girl going to LA to fulfill her dreams of doing a TikTok dance to Say So by Doja Cat in front of a ring light. This was like a whole time, and it's still a whole section of TikTok that like, I'm not saying I don't understand it per se. Like, experimental theater major in me is like, we're all sharing the language of dance. Like, look at us all communicating through like different dances that are being passed around from person to person. You could look at it that way. But what's really happening is like someone who like only has a very marginal amount of talent but is excessively hot and made up is doing like very like low effort.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for them to study this in anthropology class in 30 years.
Oh yeah. Oh, the dissertation somebody could write on this. We see that Maddy is off work. She's being paid to do nothing because there's nothing going on in the industry at this time. And so she decides, because Maddy is a real go-getter and a problem solver, she decides to do something about it. She goes and finds this woman. And of course, Maddy tells her everything she wants to hear because Maddy's so good at it, and is like, have you always been this charismatic? And the girl's like, I think so. But this girl is like completely starstruck that Maddy knows Dylan Reed because she manages him. And of course she goes, oh my God, he's so down to earth. I love this. Smash cut to this actor screaming at his agent, I work, it's what I do. If this isn't an accurate read of Hollywood, like I have to assume. And so Maddy is in a diner with her now new client because she was like, oh, actually, I would really love to manage you, after buttering her up on the beach. And this girl's like, okay, but I'm okay with like sexy pictures, but like I don't want to do nudity. And Maddy's like, I got you. We can imply nudity. And immediately just rattles off very professionally, camel toe, a little ass cheek, feet. They have a very funny exchange about feet.
Which I was like, here's the Quentin Tarantino influence, because as we all know, if there's anything that man loves, it's a foot.
Yep. I wish I could go back to the time in my life where I didn't know that people liked feet so much. Her client takes to this so well.
Like a duck to water.
I know. Overall, I think this is a much better episode than last week. Obviously, it still has problems. I actually really liked this episode, and I thought it was, like, pretty funny in this regard, especially of, like, this woman goes from, like, I'm okay with sexy but not nudity, and it's like, oh, she's right in it. She's fine with it. I also just love the framing of this shot of, like, ring light, silky sheet, but, like, clearly we're in, like, Maddie's tiny little apartment or someone's tiny little apartment, and, like, Maddie's on the phone with her mom in the background. Like, again, like, really sort of exploring the very unique, weird circumstance of this time. And then I took this shot because I figured you would have something to say.
They're on the friend's couch on the Burbank lot.
So Maddie is meeting up with Dylan, and she is showing him her client, Caitlin's work and repertoire, and he's very impressed. And so we see that obviously, like, the tabloids have already picked this up, that Dylan Reed is having dinners with Caitlin. But anyway, Maddie's boss in this insane, I'm sure, couture outfit, asking her, like, what the fuck's going on with Dylan? Why is he dating this woman? And Maddie is trying to explain to her, like, the industry's changing. Like, you and I, like to make money. Like, this is a booming industry. Meanwhile, we have some, like, very Devil Wears Prada side-eye coming from the other assistant who is working for Miss Penzler. And Maddie finally is like, listen, because Miss Penzler questions her and is like, are you taking a commission from this? Because clearly that's conflict of interest. And Maddie's like, my mom's salon closed down because of COVID. Like, I'm trying to make some extra money because I'm supporting not just me, but my family. Penzler doesn't give a shit and tells her that she's got to get rid of Caitlin. A year later, Caitlin is rolling in it and is doing, you know, ads promoting on OnlyFans and is like, I made $7,000 last month holding my big Publishers Clearinghouse check. Yeah, so it turns out if Maddie had followed her instincts and had just gone off on her own in that direction, she would be very, very successful instead of still being assistant, picking up trash in her boss's office.
And it's funny to see the exit light. It's like, Maddie, like, you know, metaphor, get out of here.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this episode actually it's better because, like, the overall, like, craft of it, like, we have little things like the exit sign where it's like, okay, I see what we're trying to do here. It's still a little heavy-handed, but, like, I see what we're trying to do. At this moment, this low point for Maddie, she, of course, gets a text message from Cassie Howard, and it is the classic reach out after a long time text message of like, I miss you. Can we get lunch? And Maddie's very, very intrigued. And we hear that, how much is that doggy in the window? Because she's clearly watching Cassie's insane haunting doggy video and is like, huh. So we'll circle back to that in a minute. We check in with Rue, who is starting to work for Alamo. And Alamo is clearly sort of like testing her and putting her on the lowest rung of the ladder, which is to tend to his pigs.
There are so many animals this season. Like, I don't understand what the point is of all the live animals this season.
If I were to guess, I would say that it is another sort of heavy-handed metaphor or gesture. Like, these animals are, like, for food, or like they're cattle, whatever, sure. And sort of like I think we're trying to say something about like women and like how they are viewed through the male gaze. I mean, I'm giving a lot more credit to this show than is due. This is like a Criterion Closet ass description. Anyway, Rue's knee deep in pig shit, and she is also helping cover up Tish's death. And she says here, it was the first death I'd help cover up, implying that there will be more. We got the yellow gloves. Like, this is, again, we're trying to go Breaking Bad. We're trying to go Vince Gilligan.
Really try to force this into, like, being a prestige thing by the look, the feel, but, like, the story itself, it's just, like, so much more aesthetics than, like, substance.
Yeah. So Alamo is now calling Lori and is like, it's simple reparations. Like, you need to, like, make good on what happened. And it turns out it was actually Lori's fault and responsibility. And this is so harrowing. Wayne did not tell Faye that she needed to clean off the scale before measuring the drugs and all of the fentanyl powder that was in there ended up in with the ecstasy, and the thing about fentanyl is that it's so strong that you only need a tiny bit and it will kill you. So this is, oh, sweet Faye. Like, she didn't know. Nobody told her. She didn't know. She's not going to assume that. Alamo is like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to take Rue. Lori's, of course, pissed about that, and she calls him a pig, and that pisses Alamo off so badly, and he's very upset about that, and we'll see that he's very stuck on that for the remainder of the episode. Rue is burning a bunch of Tish's stuff, and as we see her behind the flames, she's like, it kind of feels like I made a deal with the devil here, but at least I'm free from Lori. And also, of course, her job at the Silver Slipper has some perks, aka looking at a lot of boobies.
I have to say, Zendaya, I give her so much credit on this because she feels like a different person than what she plays, like in what I just saw the drama in Challenger. And she really is like a different version of herself that's so different than like every other role I've seen her in.
Yeah, she's completely invisible. Like, this is just Rue. And I will say, like, though I don't love the path that they've sent Rue down.
No.
It's a circumstance of them just deciding to do a third season, you know, like it could have ended on a hopeful note and we could have just sort of like, you know, ridden off into the sunset, assuming that Rue, you know, is never going to relapse again, is going to go down a good path. Because they did a third season, like she has to then go down an unsavory path. And what I appreciate about this is we're seeing Zendaya, who is like one of the great actresses of our time, portraying this kind of like classic, like gruff anti-hero, like so many other like classically like white male hetero characters. So I do like that about it a lot too, and I give the show credit for that. In the same way that like Carrie Bradshaw was groundbreaking because she was, you know,
she's also an anti-hero.
Exactly, and she was very flawed. Like this is even more groundbreaking to see.
In our girlies on Industry.
Yes, exactly. We find out that she is basically like a bartender of hard drugs at the strip club. They've got ketamine, Molly, 2C. This really upset me. They also rattled off GHB, which is that's like roofies. And basically it's Rue's responsibility to disseminate those discreetly. This actor is also in a show that I don't think a lot of people watch called Teenage Bounty Hunters, which is honestly a really delightful. I've
literally never even heard of it.
It's really a delightful, very campy, fun show. But this character is Eddie, and he works with Rue at the strip club, and he's like, keep the customers in line, keep the bitches happy. So basically, she just has like a management role at this strip club. And we see that in action right away with Angel, who is one of the girls at the club, who immediately caught Rue's eye. And Mr. Rolex, who's this, you know, strip club dude, wants to party. She gives Angel some coke. This guy snorts it off her nipples, which I did not need to experience, but I didn't have any warning.
Yeah, everything in this show happens against our will. I would
Correct.
say.
Correct. And this really set me over the edge. She asks him if she's showered today, which like we know why, because we know where this is going. And I will say I appreciate asking, because if he didn't, he doesn't deserve it.
No, and I think unfortunately that is a question we need to be asking more. If you are engaging in those activities, we should be asking that question first, because it's not pleasant.
Everyone shower. Everyone take good care of yourself. Rue is looking at this Polaroid of Tish that Angel has stuck to her section of mirror and is feeling some feelings about it. But also she gets a big wad of cash from Eddie and is feeling real good. So good that she and Angel decide to do some partying in the back of this Dodge Caravan.
This is the modern day version of the Titanic scene.
When
they're putting their hands down the car. Yeah, it's like, but now we're in the back of a minivan and there's like orange juice slices afterwards.
Yes. In general, this entire episode is basically like the producers of Euphoria were given an assignment: reference as many great films as you can.
And it's Jack Dawson doing the drawing.
Oh, yeah! Oh, my God, I didn't think of
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Oh, my God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's right. Rue having sex with Angel prompts her to say, like, she does miss Jules. And we find out that a couple years ago, she did used to go visit Jules in the city where she was in art school. But Rue says it never quite felt like it did in high school. And to be honest, Rue was in a very bad place. We see that she not only relapsed into this circumstance, which is, you know, some sort of drug den, and it's really, really bleak and really dark. And she ends up calling her mom, and her mom is not answering, which sort of answers some questions we had about, like, her mom took a pretty big stand in the last season that, like, if Rue is going to continue to do drugs and ruin her life, like, she's going to be on her own.
I don't know if you've, like, had to deal with anyone with addiction like this. It's really hard because you want to give everything you can to this person that you love so much in your life, but they're so troubled with addiction. It's like you hit a wall where it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep enabling you because this behavior keeps repeating and it's only causing more like internal devastation for you.
It's very upsetting. It also just answers the question of, like, as the viewer, like in the season premiere, we're like, what's her status with her addiction? Like, what's going on? And then Rue admits, like, truth be told, I haven't really been sober since. She just is functioning. I do like seeing Rue in her element, though. As messed up as Rue is and as weird a circumstance this is, she's, like, very excellent at her job, like, managing these women. And I love this very sort of, like, I don't know, Mama Morton den mother kind of, like, it's like herding cats with these women. I love this. We get a cameo from Rosalia, who is playing one of the other girls at the club, who doesn't want to take off this neck brace because she's in the middle of a legal battle. I'm assuming some sort of ambulance chasing thing where, like, she could get 12 grand if she wins this lawsuit. So she doesn't want to take the neck brace off and be proven to be lying. I just love, she also, like, put rhinestones and, like, little, like, she tried to she jazzed up the neck brace so that maybe they would let her wear it at work.
It almost looks like a dog collar.
We find out that Angel is very upset about not being able to get a hold of Tish. She doesn't know what happened to Tish. Tish is not responding, and nobody really knows where she is. So she goes and confronts Alamo right away, which does not go well. They basically just say, like, get back to work. Alamo is still not off Lori calling him a pig. He's, like, really spiraling about this and, like, keeps turning it over in conversation. And we see Marshawn Lynch's character, he's obsessing about it. He's like, and it's the fact that, like, she just went right to pig. Like, she didn't think about using any other different words. Rue comes upon Angel in the back, and Rue is trying to call Tish, and Tish is not responding. Angel's crying. She's very upset. She's like, I just need to hear that you're okay. It's pretty devastating. We see that Alamo has decided he's going to do something to Lori because he wants to get back at her for what he called her. And he's like, we need to remind her that, like, she was just some, like, junkie in the suburbs before, you know, I started working with her. So we will see the results of that later. We do find out here that Rue hasn't talked to her mom in 2 years. And it seems like she doesn't really talk to Gia either, which is very sad.
And can I say that what the most unrealistic part of this show is that this many people from high school are still talking to each other.
That's a really, yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is why they all needed to go to college. Because they met no one else except for the nefarious characters they are making money with. And they're still all toxically intertwined.
Yeah, college is important for a lot of reasons, and I can understand, especially in this day and age, not going. But you need to do something after high school that puts you in a position. Yeah, puts you in a position to realize that the people who were just near you because of circumstance don't have to be your friends. You can make friends based off common interests. Yeah. That being said, I do have a couple very close friends still from high school, but I'm talking
1,000%.
I'm talking about a couple, you know, like whenever I meet somebody and they're like, "Oh, I still have a large group of friends from high school." I'm like, "I don't know if I can trust your judgment."
Yeah, it helps you find, like, other parts of yourself that, like, you aren't able to in high school. So I don't know, it is just, like, fascinating to see that. I was like, wait, they're only just hanging out with these 6 people.
That being said, though, we didn't get to see in the first 2 seasons a lot of Maddy and Rue, and it makes more sense to me that the 2 of them would be close than any other combination. We also find out that Rue is still kind of thinking about Jules, and Maddy sort of pushes back on that of like, do you want to be with Jules? And Rue is saying like, this job is actually like pretty great for her because when she's driving Uber or doing other stuff, she has too much time to think about all the things that are going wrong in her life and, you know, her relationship with her mom and her sister. But when I'm at work, I'm just problem solving left and right. Like, yeah, Rue, we've all been on the high of being able to be fully distracted by problem solving. It's, you know what? It's not a bad coping mechanism. Of all the coping mechanisms, being overscheduled is one of the better ones. Rue is like, isn't it weird though that Jules is a sugar baby? And Maddy's like, no, most women I meet are sugar babies. But then of course, when pressed, Rue's like, well, you aren't. And she's like, well, I'm not a fucking hooker. So even Maddy, who like, really very much dwells in the world of like women getting their coin through sex work and sex adjacent work, is still kind of judgmental and is like, no, I would never do that. So Rue's like, where are you even going? She's like, I have a meeting. And when Rue asks with who, I love this. She does this.
Yeah.
And she does some great object work. We got boobs and tears. But I love this. It just takes those two gestures for Rue to be like, oh my God, Cassie. And I also love this. The round 2, baby, like implying like, oh, Cassie might have think she won the first round, but like, it's time. It's time to
fight, baby.
And then Rue, of course, is like, I miss high school. And I love this. We hear Maddy going, I don't. So we find out that Maddy has not heard from Cassie since high school until this awful little message that she got on Instagram. And we see some of what Cassie has been up to with her housekeeper, and underscored by Rue saying, like, Cassie was actually exactly the kind of girl you dream of signing. And it was because, exactly the kind of girl you dream of signing because she's so desperate for attention that she's willing to humiliate herself. And then we see this, which is that Cassie is dressed up like a sexy baby because I'm assuming some man asked her to be. And this is the modesty bar that I've chosen for her nips under this sheer thing is, haven't we suffered enough with this show? Yeah. Because why did I have to see Sydney Sweeney in a diaper? Like, that's not nice to me. That's really not nice to me.
I get it, because it shows, like, the humiliation angle of Cassie, but it is also to a point that I was like, this feels even a little step too far for me, but I guess that's the point.
Yeah, it's bad. And of course, while she's doing this, she's asking if her housekeeper ever thought of having a bigger life. Her housekeeper says, no, being in America, we get the title of the episode, America is my dream. Yeah, again, like similar to what we were saying about like the animals, like this whole episode is about like how people achieve the American dream right now and like what people are satisfied with, not satisfied with. And Alamo also has a line when he's talking to Rue earlier about like people like left their cabins and went out west for opportunity. Like, that's what we're trying to say with this episode is like, this is the manifest destiny is putting on a diaper and like a sheer teddy and
Lewis and Clark could have used that diaper on the Oregon Trail.
No. Oh no. We get this shot of Cassie on the PCH. We're entering like David Lynch, Alfred Hitchcock, like this is this part of like the film school assignment. Like, of course, we have PCH Highway, have some like very sort of evocative music. And we also see this like what looks like to be an attempt at like a double dolly shot zooming into, this felt very Hitchcock to me, zooming into like Maddy across the street.
Totally.
Waiting for Cassie to arrive at the peninsula so that she can arrive the way she wants to in front of Cassie. This is so interesting to me. Like, costuming in this scene is like really amazing because Cassie looks very hot and wonderful, but I don't know how to explain it. She looks like she's trying way too hard to look like cool LA.
Yeah. She looks like Elle Woods the first day at Harvard.
Yes.
Like, she's the fish out of water, like, not quite fitting in with
like
everyone.
She does not fit in. She's got her like matchy designer bag. She put on like the sunglasses. This whole outfit is like what she thought she would look cool in LA rather than in the suburbs, but it just doesn't work and it's not cool. Maddy comes in looking incredible. We've got this big dramatic flourish of music. She's wearing a fur coat even though it looks like it's very warm outside.
I was like, if she's not dehydrated immediately, like thinking about that, wearing that in LA in the middle of June, that is crazy. That's crazy work here.
And then the way she says hi when she takes off her jacket is like launches 1,000 ships. Like, it's just like the twist of the knife to be like, oh my god, hey.
Well, it's like, it's all an act, because we also see, I think the point of that, of the shot of us seeing Maddy in the car waiting for Cassie, is also shows that Maddy's insecure a little bit too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But like, she can't let Cassie see that, and Cassie's not going to see through that, so it's...
Yeah. Of course, Cassie is stunned and is like, oh my god, you look amazing. They have a couple Aperol spritzes, and Cassie is like, I should have just asked your permission. Like, it's clear, like, look, we're getting married, so it's clear, like, we really were in love that whole time, trying to justify what happened. And so Maddy decides to go in for the kill, as Rue says, because she realizes, oh, this dumb idiot waited years to get proposed to by Nate just to make her feel absolved for what she did to our friendship. And so Maddy decides to say, I forgive you, which really emotionally hits Cassie. Couple more Aperol spritzes later, the truth finally comes out, and Cassie's like, if people knew who I was, I would be huge. You should see, when I throw these parties in the suburbs, I am the center of attention. And she says, you should see how upset these wives get with their husbands. This is so fucking crazy to me. Like, you're not an actor, you're not a singer, like, you have no talent to possess, but you're literally sitting here being like, you should see how hot I am in this specific space. And Maddy is like, yeah, but you're like a big fish in a small pond. And Cassie's like, well, what would I need to do to like be in a bigger pond? And I love this. We get this Miranda Priestley-ass moment where she's like, you'd have to have good taste, and like reading her for filth, which Cassie completely misses. She's like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, I have that. Obviously.
Part of me was like, this feels like a meta commentary on Sydney's career.
Yes. Oh, absolutely 100,000%. Like, I feel like the producers of the show knew that everybody's currently mad at Sydney Sweeney for, you know, being conservative.
A million things.
Yeah, a million things. And that it doesn't look great to have her on the show. But if they change her character to be this, where like, it's very obvious that we're being directed to hate this character and think she's shallow and a bad person, like, it makes it okay. She shows her cards immediately because Maddy is like, what if I helped you a little bit? And Cassie's like, oh my god, finally, this is the whole reason why I was here. And then immediately corrects herself and is like, no, actually, like, I came to apologize. I didn't even think this is gonna come up. And she's so transparent and so gross. And Maddie's like, look, your like little doggy videos and whatnot, like fun and campy, but it's not sexy. It's not timeless. You're not being yourself. And Cassie goes, who am I? Oh, this poor woman. God. This poor woman. Like, it hurts my heart. The fact that, similar to what we were saying about like not finding different friends after high school, to know that like she has just remained completely just like insecure and just like floating in the abyss and not taking any steps to figure out who she is. Maddy goes in for the kill here because she knows Nate, and she knows that Nate is not okay with Cassie doing nudes because Nate is the most psychotic, controlling guy ever. But she goes in for the kill and asks if Nate is okay with her doing nudes. Cassie lies and says, oh yeah, I mean, as long as I don't post them on the main page. I'm assuming meaning as long as it's just private for people who pay for it. Which is not the argument that was struck last week when he said, don't put your face and your boobs in the same shot.
All right, we are taken back to the most offensively yellow entryway of Nate and Cassie's home, and Juana has brought our boy back. Cal is back, and he is lit. It's like 3 in the afternoon. It feels like the way that it's lit, but he's lit. And we find out Cal is a shell of the man that we knew in season 1 and 2, especially after Nate turned him in. He's broke. Everyone knows about everything that's happened to him sexually, and he's just this shell of a human. And we cut to Nate is talking... he's got a lot going on about where he's upset about the building codes in Southern California. And I was like, wow, I never knew that Nate was going to know this much about that. I was like, well, if this radicalizes you, I hope this, takes you to other parts of the government. There's hope for you. And he's talking to this man in a funeral home that he's in business with, that they're building their afterlife care centers. And we find out Nate owes $600,000.
Of course he does.
Again, it's just like hard to like put on the fact that they're like 23, because these feel like 35-year-old problems. And the fact that we're supposed to buy that they're 23 and this is happening is like so crazy to me. But
I mean, it makes sense though, because we were supposed to buy that they were in high school and they did not ever seem like they were in high school. Yeah. So.
And I'll also say, I don't know if you're feeling it, I can feel the absence of Labyrinth's music in the episode.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
You can really feel, like, the moments where, especially, like, in the strip club, and when we go to Jules' condo in a minute, but, like, stuff like this, I'm like, oh, if Labyrinth's music were here, I think, like, certain things would be easier to buy into.
My coworker put it very astutely. I think she had seen this somewhere. Having Hans Zimmer for Euphoria is like asking for pizza and being given caviar. And you're like, yeah. I mean, thank you, but this isn't what I asked for. No, also, Labyrinth he had built a whole auditory world for this show that it's really missing. I agree.
But he tells Nate, give me $100K by Friday and we'll be okay. And it's like, yeah, my guy, I can get you $100K. And Nate is still just like, the way that you can only be as a disillusioned 6'4" white man.
It is very close to the $700,000 that Caitlyn made in 1 month. So let's keep that in our brains, because I'm pretty sure that Nate is going to sing a different tune about Cassie's...
Oh, we get this very literal metaphor of Nate, like, making meat patties with his hands, like he is grinding the meat. And we find out our new favorite odd couple, Nate and Cal, are talking about the morality of OnlyFans. And he's had like a whole 6-pack of Stellas. Cal has been brought down to like, again, King Triton when he's a little urchin, and Little Mermaid, that's basically like what he is now. God bless Eric Dane. We love and we miss you. Yes. My McSteamy. Juana's like, how did I get into this? She's like watching this entire conversation. She's like, again, I'm not getting paid enough for this, but I'm happy to be in America. And really getting into the nitty gritty of Cal's dalliances. And Nate is calling him out. It's like, you're gay. You're in denial. And he, with all the sincerity, he says, I'm not gay. I was a hedonist. And a conversation you never expect a father and son to have, getting down to brass tacks. He's like, well, you fucked men in the ass. And Eric Dane, I hope you get a posthumous Emmy for saying, how's that not gay? Well, I was a pitcher, not a catcher. This is when I had to take a lap and pause.
I mean, it's really interesting how the thing that made Cal's character so, like, dangerous seeming and, like, scary and nefarious was the secretive aspect of all of this. And now that, like, that's out in the open, he just looks like a, Jimmy Buffett parrot head who, like, can't figure out what to do with himself. Like, it's taken all of the air out of, like, the scary tires. And, like, of course he doesn't think that he is queer, because that would mean something.
And we find out he's asking him about why he's, like, raising more money, and Nate is really trying to brush all the money issues under the rug. I'm opening a new round. So that's that, like, for there. We're back at the strip club, and we find out Angel is really getting into it with them. He's like, don't stop throwing shoes at me. And and he's got the wrath of Angel, bloody nose. And now Rue's getting the wrath of Angel, and we get this really fun scene with the two of them where they're just really going at it. She was like, oh, I'm the bitch, and now Rue gets into it, and she's throwing the shoe back at Angel. I've never wanted to throw a shoe, but it might be fun to do, like, once.
Yeah, I think a little violence is physical violence.
A little nice touch of violence could be fun.
It's a little sprinkle of it.
And Rue really, like, throws it down at Angel because, like, these two have been intimate. She's like, hey, you have to actually talk to me. They may be the face, but, like, you and I, remember, we got intimate in the back of a minivan. You were in between my, like, dirty laundry, getting to home base. And she's like, or we can talk. So they go to the bathroom, which is, like, again, as we've discussed before, we talked about the girlfriend, the girl's bathroom is a sacred space, which is where Angel's able to let down her walls and say, I'm worried about Tish. She's missing. And I actually was kind of shocked for a second that Rue told her, because I had wondered earlier in the episode when we saw that picture, I was like, is Rue going to tell her? And she told her. She's honest. She OD'd. In the devastation of that, I just give this actor, like, so much credit. The horror is just washing over her face of, like, realizing that her friend OD'd. There's no funeral. There's no grieving that gets to be had here. Like, her friend was disappeared. And it's just horrifying. And because, like, we hear about these stories, like, all the time. And I think for that to really happen to you, that really changes things.
Yeah. I was also surprised that Rue just spit it out. But I also think, like, Rue, as someone who's battled with addiction, I don't know. I think she sensed, like, this is not going to get better. Like, Angel's not going to just calm down and stop looking for her friend. So we need to just tell her the truth. I do wonder if there are going to be repercussions for that, though.
I have some thoughts about that one in a little bit. And we see Rue just, like, really, like, going through it and, like, having to process, like, sitting in there with this horror of Angel finding out this information. Again, just the acting in this and the two of them, how they're able to, like, really connect with each other. I don't know. They had a lot of gravitas in this scene that I really appreciated for what we were discussing. And we find out this obviously has affected Angel and her performance as a stripper. She's passing out with the men that she would normally be doing drugs with. She's puking in the toilet where Rue finds her on the ground. And we have to deal with, at Alamo's headquarters, where we have this insane panther with that's holding Alamo's hat behind the hot tub while Alamo's with one of his girls. And he's like, she's either got to go to rehab or I'm kicking her out. And Rue's like, oh, you have, like, a rehab. He's like, well, of course I have these places on speed dial. And that immediately sent my stomach churning, because I was like, I can only imagine what sort of rehabs Alamo has on speed dial.
Yeah.
This is, like, Rue realizing this is the first time they've been on the other side of an intervention. So it's, like, interesting to see Rue in this position of, like, authority a little bit, where she's, like, she's not doing as bad as Angel. Like, she's normally Angel. So it's like interesting to see this, like, dynamic flip a bit. And Alamo's really pleased with Rue's performance and is like, this could be a promotion in it for you. If you get her to rehab, you figure this whole situation out. But Angel is fighting, like, going to rehab, suck my dick. And then Rue's like, but they take you bowling. And I was like, I guess I hadn't thought about that they get, like, field trips in rehab. Like, you get to go bowling. I was like, yeah.
Even in season 1, Rue talks about, like, loving being in the hospital. I think, like, Rue is the kind of character that, like, likes being taken care of, and likes being put in circumstances where, like, she has no choice but to be safe. And she's got, like, programming. So, like, I do think, like, weirdly, like, the hospital and rehab are probably, like, fond memories for Rue because she was tended to and kept occupied.
Yeah, like, there's no expectation. You're not disappointing anyone when you're in rehab. And I think that's, like, Rue's main way of living. And they're in the car to rehab. And Rue's trying to get across, I think, to Angel, like, life is precious. And Angel talks about, like, a lot of people go missing in California. It's hard to not kind of think about, like, how vulnerable I think these girls are in the position that these, like, strip clubs can provide for them, like, to give them security, but ultimately how much autonomy do they have in that environment? And I think that's something is to think about, like, in the middle of all of this. And we cut back to Nate and Cassie's, Valley of the Dolls headquarters. He's holding court with these idiots. And this guy's like, oh my God, you'd kill my mother-in-law there. And he's wearing the double polo that, like, I haven't seen since 2007. And it just sent a shiver down my spine. Like, this guy's about to play me, like, Wiz Khalifa in his Jeep Grand Cherokee after school and take me to the mall.
Oh, my God.
And give me the slobberiest, like, make out. Like, there's no tongue in your mouth. It's, like, all around your chin.
Oh, yes, I know. Oh, God. Ugh.
And God bless this diva, who I think is the voice for the audience, asking, why are you dressed as a baby? And God bless her having to have a conversation with Cassie and, like, try and make any sense of, like, her decision making. And Cassie's, like, Sydney Sweeney's eyes and the way that she's able to do them as Cassie and this, like, psychosis is, like, something that needs to be studied. Like, that she's really talked to herself. In fact, she's like, yeah, adult babies. People love pacifiers, bassinets.
Also, Cassie, you idiot. Like, don't show this to this woman. Like,
I know.
You know better. Like, this is not going to be received well.
The HOA, yeah, they're going to be going to town with this information. I mean, she's like, that's sick. She almost feels like a Shoshana. Like a little bit from Girls.
Very,
like a
very
Shosh.
Yeah.
And this guy's double polo idiot. He's over here desperately chomping at the bit, and Nate is really playing it cool, acting like 100,000 means nothing to me. Like, he's got a way.
He's totally playing it off as if he doesn't need the money, and is like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't need you to be an investor. And of course, like, you know, Nate's got Riz. All these guys are like, oh, please take my life savings.
Please, Daddy. Please take it for me. I know. It's really like, this is how you get into an MLM. And Cassie's like, well, it's just supply and demand. And I sort of respect her for that, because, like, again, if there is a need for it, she's filling it. And this the other half of the couple, these are us. These two people are us.
Yeah.
An adult baby. That's what I said. They're like, how did we get here?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this woman didn't waste any time, she just went right to her husband to tell him, like, there's no solidarity between her and Cassie. Like, Cassie, you idiot.
God bless Juana. Like, how much money are we paying her? She's here around the clock. Like, Jesus Christ. And Nate, all of this words gets back to Nate. He wants Cassie to show him his phone, and she's like, trying to show him that she's got the upper hand because he's sitting and she's standing. And our other couple, they're in the room for the entertainment, for the big show. She's like, I'm not going to show you my phone. And Cassie's like, well, you gave me permission. And then calls Nate out in front of all of them, you know, pulling his pants down metaphorically to say, like, if you weren't having money problems. And he's like, not that I can afford 60,000. And she's like, not even 60,000. It's 50, Nate, for my shrimp cocktail flowers. And she's like, if you pay for the flowers, I'll delete the account. And Nate's like, blackmail. The other guy is, like, doing the thing, you know, when you're caught in an uncomfortable conversation, like, you're picking the label off the bottle until there's, like, nothing left.
Yep. You're like, how can I occupy myself with the object in front of me? I'm very, very focused on this now.
Yeah, I will peel off this Modelo label within an inch of its life. And then Juana is like, starts going in asking, Mr. Nate, do you want these hamburgers? No. And I was like, what is the point? It was just like a very, like, odd, I don't know if she was, like, trying to detract from the fight that just happened, but
possibly, because she is Cassie's greatest ally. Like, she and Cassie are very close. I also just think that, like, working for Nate is probably awful, and it's the kind of thing where it's like, he doesn't want to be asked all these specific questions, and yet when something gets thrown out, he's going to be like, what the fuck?
I wanted the potato salad.
Exactly.
And he's like, Juana, I'm going to kill you. Hey.
Leave Juana alone.
Leave Juana alone. She's doing enough. And finally, he's like, we should go. We've been here too long. They evacuate the dance floor. And then finally, Nate can relax. He's like, Juana, save the pigs in a blanket. Which I'm like, yeah, you're going to want the pigs in a blanket later. And we're at this...
Oh, boy.
Not a real rehab. Again, as we said, I can only imagine what a shell that this actually is. We see this person who's playing video games, like, on the phone. Rue's checking in Angel. We find out, like, oh, you work for Alamo, so this must be some... I imagine it's like it's like Dr. Spaceman as well in 30 Rock, where it's like, I bet there's, like, plastic surgery also done here. Botox, filler. Like, I imagine this is a one-stop shop of, like, illegal BBLs. And find out, like, without even looking up from her phone, playing Candy Crush, we've been expecting you. Angel is rightfully scared. And Rue tries to promise her, I'll be back. I'm going to pick you up. You're going to be fine. And I think this is the last we're seeing of Angel. I don't think we're going to see Angel again.
Yeah, this makes me really, really, really nervous. Yeah, I don't like this. Unless Rue comes to rescue her, because you could kind of tell that Rue is starting to be like, what's wrong with this place. Yeah, Alamo didn't account for the fact, though, that, like, Rue actually knows what rehab is like. Like, in a second, I'm sure you probably got a screenshot. Rue's like, I don't have to fill anything out here.
Yeah, there's no paperwork. And she tells Bishop, she got her in, and she's like, I'm worried, but he says, God helps those who help themselves, which is foreboding, I think, about what's going to happen.
I still need to know what Bishop's deal is.
And I think we've got a few more episodes before we're going to find that out. And we see a hand off of a window, but we don't know whose hand this is quite yet. I'm sure we're going to find out later. And we're back at, Stepford Wives headquarters, and Nate's like, I just don't want to be lied to like that again. I don't want to be in that situation. We're fine. And Cassie reveals Maddy's been helping me, and Nate says, what you never want to hear when you're in bed with who you're about to get married to, referring to their ex as my Maddy. And then she says, no, my Maddy. I was like, oh boy, this whole relationship is a sham.
This is going to be so bad.
And he's like, well, Maddy's been helping me with, she's an expert at social media. He's like, you mean porn? She's like, it's not porn. It's erotica. And she's going to manage me. And he's like, well, your career is over. And we find out she invited Maddy to the wedding.
Cassie, what is wrong with you?
Girl! Oh my God. I hope Maddy stands up and objects next week on the episode. We're building to, again, the wedding's happening episode 3. What's going to happen the rest of the season?
I'm also like, doesn't the florist need more lead time than whatever? It's fine.
We have no idea how much time is happening between these episodes. It could be a month. It could be,
It could, it's true.
And then she tries to, she loves to neg her man a bit and just like, not everyone's in love with you. But also it's like, but that doesn't mean he's not in love with Maddy. Oh, okay. There's no way to transition to this.
God.
Faye and Wayne are having sex after the steaks he made her. Didn't he make her steak? Oh, the chicken. Oh, how could I forget? He made her chicken. And they hear a horrifying noise. Faye's like, is that a dinosaur? Which, I'm like, yeah, maybe in this world it's actually Jurassic Park. And maybe actually there is a T-Rex upstairs. I'd believe it. And the pig comes home to roost, as we've been foreboding the whole episode. We find out there's a dog named Lieutenant Dan that didn't protect them from the pig, LOL. And Lori says in the most deadpan, oh my God, when she walks in and sees the pig wreaking havoc in her home. And Alamo has left his sign. Remember the Alamo, very literally. It was sent by Alamo, and we can only imagine the repercussions are about to come in the episodes to come. And we cut to, and finally these two are reuniting. Rue's like, I like the new look, and we see this glance of these two bonded individuals reconnecting. I was like, oh God, here we go again. I know this is all gonna end badly. Referencing the end of the episode. So this dress is a bunch of bras, which I couldn't really tell in the shot.
I couldn't either.
Yeah, and I was like, that's crazy. Sam wanted her to have 50 inches of hair, which I was like, that is a lot of money, and it's very heavy. The hairstylist talks about it. She was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So she has this very long intentionally hair because she's Rapunzel. She's a tower in the castle being locked in, and that's why she's being shielded away, away from her daddy, who's got her locked in this separate apartment that they wanted to find. Sam Levinson wanted to be a very empty sort of apartment on purpose. So that sort of gives us the metaphor of what's happening with Jules this season. She's Rapunzeling and being locked away.
Got it. Interesting.
And we get this shot of them in the elevator, and I think this is a bag she's zipping up. We see Rue looking at her, opening her bag for her keys for the penthouse we're going into. And there's this moment of them just sort of the electricity that's just radiating off between the two of them as they look at each other. It's just again, toxic. This is why you can't backslide. This is just why you can't. It never ends well. It's not, no matter how much you talk yourself into it, it's bad. Don't backslide.
Don't do it.
And Jules takes off her hair, and we see she's got her regular hair. She's walking around this empty high rise. Rue says she's California sober, but staying away from anything that can destroy my life. And then Jules is like, but you showed up here, acknowledging the elephant in the room. That hot. I know. I was like, And they talk about the thing, I think you talk about, like, if you're in a situation with an ex, about, like, where you get the, like, Vaseline lens over your history together of, like, you know, we can romanticize, like, what happened between the two of us, but, like, don't you get nostalgic, like, about it? And she's like, I don't miss high school. And
of course not.
Us. Of course not. It was terrible. High school's terrible for Jules. She's like, but, you know, you don't miss us? And Jules is like, were we ever good together? And that's the, you know, the honest question you have to, like, ask in this situation of, like, you know, hindsight. Were years past? Like, Rue, you were constantly ODing. You enabled each other in different ways. She's, like, trying to really, like, have the best interest in Jules and, like, saying, like, but isn't he living a double life? Like, what are you getting out of this? Like, how do you have any upper hand in this situation? And now she says the sentence I think that anyone who's the third in a non-monogamous relationship has to say so that they can continue to buy into this situation, is that people aren't meant to be monogamous. And you say that as you're not going to come out badly in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I respect people who are non-monogamous.
Of course.
And then Rue says the thing that I was like, I gotta unbutton my shirt for this. Like, so what you're saying is I still have a chance. I was like, that would get me so badly. Like, that was crazy. That was a crazy lie. And that only Zendaya, like, have that riz there. Jules is like, you know, it's just crazy that you think you could show up and just think we're gonna be the same. We can clock back into it. And Rue's like, does that thing in a situation where you're like, oh no, I revealed too much with this person I've been intimate with. I ruined every chance. Fuck, what am I doing? And then Jules stands in the doorway and says, I'm going to take a bath. And is like, you're not going to keep me company. And they're playing Speak Low by Billie Holiday underneath all of this. And Rue's like, okay, I guess I'm going to the bathroom. Things are back on between these two. And that is where we end.
Yep.
This week's episode of Euphoria. So we, like, know next week we go into Nate and Cassie's wedding, and that's gonna be
I can't wait. That I'm actually excited about.
An explosion of, like, every dynamic in one place, because we didn't see Lexi this week. I've missed our girl Lexi, so I'm curious to see what's in store. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about Angel. I don't know. How are we feeling?
You know, this episode was better than last week. I'm having the revelation of, like, in order to, like, enjoy watching the show, we just have to be like, this is a different show. It is a different show. Like, they're still calling it Euphoria. It is still these characters, but, like, it is just a completely different show. We just have to accept it for what it is, but hopefully I don't have to see another sexy baby.
Please, let that be the last sexy baby. But it's basically like Euphoria Dark Knight. Like, it's just like, this is Gotham. Thank you so much again for joining us for another recap of Euphoria. We have at least 4 days to scrub our brains of this before the next episode. Let us know how you're feeling in the comments. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.